Hello everybody. I'm finally getting around to finishing up, or starting to finish up, this fan art of Terra from Final Fantasy VI. It's inspired by the artwork of Yoshitaka Amano. He did much of the artwork for the Final Fantasy series, especially early on, and he's also had his own long career writing graphic novels. I think he did the artwork for Vampire Hunter D and many other well-known things. I love his work, and I wanted to use watercolors because I feel like the way that he draws is a very painterly style and suits watercolors well. His style is a little bit varied, and it's very sketchy, and that's a big difference in the way that I like to draw. I like my lines to be very defined, whereas his are much more painterly, much more sketchy. He doesn't seem to line it in ink. It looks like he paints on top of his bare pencil sketches. At least that's how it comes across in the print. I'm trying to find some other examples. Let's see, here's a quick drawing he did of Ultros, and I don't know who that is. It could be Terra, it could be anybody. But there's Ultros, and you can see that very painterly style, the watercolors and the sketchy outline. Same with Chuban up here. I love this picture of Realm that he drew. You can really see the way he drew it. You can see all his sketchy lines. You can see where he went over this line multiple times and didn't erase or define the lines. He just kept going with it. And to me, that's very definitive of his style of drawing. There's one of his renditions of Kafka. So yeah, that's where I'm drawing my inspiration from. There's actually a picture of Terra in here that is very much like this one. I drew this not even thinking about that one, and then after I did my sketch that I showed in the first part of this, I looked in here and I looked at the artwork of Terra, and it looks like I just kind of directly took it from there. So maybe it was just in my subconscious because I've looked at this book so much, but I like to do my hair very differently. I'm much more dramatic with the hair. He's got her hair up in almost like a bun, and he likes to draw her with blonde hair. I prefer to do it with the green hair that you see in the game here. So I'm probably going to use the game's colors, go with the minty green hair and blue eyes. I'll probably do a red sheer here on the shoulder, and I will do a very light fair skin tone here. Nice red earring here, nice red lips. But before we do all that, we have to do the outline. And I'm going to be outlining with these micron pens. They are waterproof. They're supposed to be waterproof. So I've got size 1, 3, 5. I've got 005, which is my finest one. So I believe I'm going to go with the 3 to start with, to I'm going to start off by outlining the hair. But where to start is the question. I always get nervous when I'm inking things. Permanence and all. Okay. Line one a little different, that's fine. As long as the lines look natural and they have some sort of flow with the hair, it should be okay. See, this line right here is hair. Right. I'm having to use my overhead light, unfortunately, and it's creating some undesirable shadows. But I think I can deal with it. I did have a standalone light, or still do, like a white light, but it started buzzing just from using it so much. I think that's just something that happens over time with those kinds of bulbs. Alright. Concentrating very hard on these lines. I'm not at the best positioning for this kind of work. I don't have a drafting table. A drafting table would be very helpful, because then I would be at the right angle instead of having to bend over, and I'm also working around the camera. So, let's see. I was a little worried about whether the cardboard was going to leave a rough texture with the inking, but I'm not having any problems with it. It's working just fine. Now, if you did not watch the first video, it was a no talking video, so all the information was presented visually, but this is a watercolor paper. Looking around to see if the pad is anywhere near me, and I could just show you, but it's Canson watercolor paper. I think it's too far out of reach for me to get it, but so yeah, that's what we're drawing on. Alright, so that was the 03 for the hair, and I'm going to use something a little finer. A little finer for the skin. I think I'm reading the numbers right. This is the 01. I was using the 03. I think I'll start with this here. I really like this neckline. I wanted to use a thinner one for this because I want the skin to be very light. I made that go over a little too far, but I'm just gonna ignore that for now and fix it later. Yes, the skin is very light, and I don't want the ink to be overbearing on the skin. I'm sorry it took me so long to get around to doing this part of the video. I've had a lot going on. Several things have kept me from filming. I got some new neighbors, and they've been renovating their unit that's next to ours, and I don't have a problem with that. They're done with it now, and from what I've seen, it looks beautiful, but it did keep me from filming for quite a while because they were hammering. I have really terrible allergies. You might even be able to tell. I sound, like I'm having bad sinus problems. But I've been coughing, sneezing, wheezing, itchy, watery eyes, pretty much exactly like any allergy commercial you've seen. That's me. Too low on that neck there. Oh well. That's the thing about inking. There's a permanence to it. Okay. So that was 01. Here's 03. I'm gonna do the earring in the 05. Also her little shoulder pad here. Now clearly I am not a professional illustrator in any way, shape, or form. I did go to school for art, but it was for metalworking. I took some, drawing art classes, but it's not my specialty or anything like that. And watercoloring in particular, I'm very, very new to. I've done a few pieces in watercolor, but I just really wanted to experiment with this. And I felt like a piece inspired by Amano would be appropriate since his work is so watercolory. Right, this is the 005. This is the finest one. I'm going to come in and do the detail work. Lips are always so hard. They always just look weird when they're defined, in my opinion. Like, part of it's because I'm being critical of my work, but part of it's because they look weird. But I'm hoping that the colors will help with the weirdness of the lips, because I am working with that Amano style, and everything's not always so defined in his work. I'll be going back over that with the black watercolor to give it more, just more. I mentioned I don't really like the inking process much, didn't I? Because I don't. Okay, so eyebrows. Kind of want to take a look and see how he goes about doing eyebrows. Looks like he sticks to lines for the most part. Yeah, just kind of a line across. I think I'll go with the 01. And I'll do some more defining when we do the colors. Okay, so now it's time to erase. Let's get this little eraser guy ready. And I did my pencil marks much too dark. It's my bad habit of doing my pencil lines way too dark, way too defined, so that when I go to erase, it's a bit of a problem. This is kind of an experiment for me. It's not like this is going to be hanging in a gallery or anything like that. This is just something for me. I've always wanted to learn how to do watercolors, and I've dabbled with it before. My Art 3 teacher, her specialty was aqueous medium. That is what they called it in the professional art world. They didn't just say watercolors. I guess because it's not just limited to watercolors. There's inks, things like that. So any media that's activated by water is her specialty. She could do some really beautiful abstract works with watercolors. Also traditional realism. But her big thing was abstract work. But I did one project with watercolors and it turned out okay. And I did enjoy it, but, one big project with watercolors certainly isn't enough to say that you are adept and well practiced with watercolors. I've done a lot more with acrylics. And oils are very nice too. But I just can't deal with the long wait times for drying when you're working with oil paint. It's almost like they never actually dry. I've been falling really behind on your comments, but I wish I could remember offhand who this was. Somebody mentioned that they loved the erasing noises, and then I erased so much. It's true, I erase a lot, but I hope you'll like this video, since there's a good like 10 minutes of erasing or so. Probably not that much, but altogether a lot of erasing. Okay, now I have been pondering whether I want to ink in details or if I just want to leave the line art flat, just like this. I have my sketchbook here, and I did some tests on what I could do. You can see right there. I could fill in the hair with some line art, thickening the line art towards the corners. Something like that. And it could look nice. But I just can't decide, and I don't have to decide until I put down the first flat base. Okay, so the first color we need to put down is peach, or do like a yellowy peach, something very fair. And I'm not even absolutely sure how to go about making this color. Again, this is not my specialty in the art world. So I'm going to start with this brown, this yellow, and this white. And I'm thinking that I'll make somewhat of a skin tone. We'll see. It's all about experimenting. And these are very old, by the way, like very old, and they're not nice. They're not nice watercolors. They're just cheapos. But you're always gonna get a better product if you're gonna get into any kind of art. You're gonna get better products if you spend a little more money. But when you're just learning and experimenting, like I'm just kind of experimenting here, I think it's okay to use cheaper products. Oh, these are very old, very crusty. Ooh, that one's really old looking. Alright, so let's give this a shot. I've got all of my paint brushes over here. And before I apply this, I will do a basic wash over her with just plain water. But I want to get the color started first. I'm trying to figure out which of these paintbrushes would be best for that job. Let's get some of these crusties out of the way. Alright. So I've got my paper towels here. Got my water there and there. Can you tell that I'm nervous? Okay, so let's start with this brown color. And just bringing plate. Now I'm going to bring in this yellow and see how the color adjusts. If it's getting anywhere close to a skin tone. And I'm hoping that adding in the white will change it from mustard to more of a skin tone. Of course, we're getting more water in here. This is going to be a very long video, just by the way. I want to make up for all the uploads I've missed lately. So I'm really going to... Ooh, that white is not good. It's very globby. It'll be okay in the end. I think with a lot more white, we might get the color that we need. I think so. I could see it. I could see that happening. Put more water in there. Now, if any of you are out there watching and you know what you're doing when it comes to watercoloring and color theory and things like that, and I'm doing this horribly wrong, I apologize. I am just playing around here. And if you have any suggestions for me, tips, let me know in the comments below. Ooh, that white is so goopy. It's messing up the whole mixing process. It's making the color very uneven and not properly mixed. The paint actually smells really good. That's probably not a good thing for me to smell, but it smells good. Let's just be real. I should have a piece of paper to test these colors. Because I think we still need a lot more white. I think so. I made sure to use a white plate. I might even need a little more brown because it might be a little too yellow. So yeah, I think this is going to be mostly white. Just a teeny bit of the brown and a teeny bit of the yellow. Just for future reference for myself. It's getting close. It's getting really close. It's looking less like honey mustard and more like Dijon. Why do I keep linking it to food? Alright, what can I use? I've got this cardstock right here. I can use this to test out this color. Let's clear that brush. Let's see how this is it too yellow? I think so. But it's just a tinge too yellow. And it might not be too yellow once it's really spread thin. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add a bit more brown. The water looks kind of like milk now. Everything's food. And of course more white. I don't think we're gonna be able to have too much white on this. I don't think that's gonna be a thing. I can't tell a difference. Actually, I guess I can. I can tell a difference now. Just have to get a little more thorough. That actually looks really good. I know it's probably going to be a little difficult to tell on the camera because the changes are pretty subtle. Some geese just flew by. I'm filming very early in the morning. Alright, let's try this. That's much more peach in comparison, but it's still a bit dark. But I'm thinking maybe once it's properly thinned out. So, what I'm going to be doing is doing a basic wash just like this on her. This is not watercolor paper I'm doing the test on, but that's what I have on hand. And then I'm going to get a little bit of this on my brush and I'm going to paint my wires. And it's not going to work on this paper because it's not watercolor paper. I'm going to lighten it up. I did though, I painted my camera wire. Okay. So what I'm going to do, you guessed it, we're going to add in more of the white. But I think we're getting close to what we want. And I'm curious about adding some more of the brown, actually. But I don't know. Now in the future when I'm mixing paints, I'll use the second, you can't really see it, it's right there, the second water cup, because it's clear and it's going to stay clean, but since this is all the same color that I'm mixing together right now, it's okay to use that dirty water. I am going to be filming this in different segments. I think I mentioned that at the beginning, but you know, the way watercolor works is you put down a layer and you build on those layers, and that requires letting different layers dry before moving on. But pretty sure I'm going to make it all one long edited video in the end, unless it's just ridiculous or something. And I hate and could easily get ridiculous. I like that. I think that's good. When it's really watered down, it looks good. Alright. Good. Okay. So let's just put these back there. And here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take a fairly big brush and I'm just gonna paint water on the surface here where the skin color is going to go. And I am using the clean water for this. It doesn't look like this ink is as waterproof as it said it was, but it's not blurring very badly, so. Sorry about the humming noise in the background. I didn't realize it, but my husband has already gotten up to get ready for work. But I don't want the water that I put down to dry up and work the paper before I get the color down. So I'm going to attempt to keep this part in, even though he's running the water on the other side of this room. I don't think it's gonna be too loud to where it's like aggravating, but if it is, I'm sorry, and it won't last for very much of this video, I promise. Because I just need to get this initial color down. And then I'm going to take a break until he's finished getting ready. And we'll pick up where we left off. So what I'm doing is I'm just really watering down this color with the water over there. And I've also put down an entire layer of water all over the skin area. And that's also going to water it down a bit. Or at least that's the hope. That's the goal. It is still coming out a bit yellow, but that's not so bad, considering the source material. If you remember the drawings I showed at the beginning of this video, he does use a very yellowish tone for Terra's skin, and it's even mentioned several times in her bio that her skin is very light and or the yellow complexion and the tan complexion. This is just the first layer of her skin. It's going to be multiples. and it's going to build up this color. And if I feel like it's still too yellow, I can always add more brown into the mix. It's flexible. Again, I'm really sorry if that water noise is bothering you. I know some of you are going to find it relaxing because you like the running fans and the running water and the microphones that have a little bit of fuzz. But some of you like that really pristine, clear sound. And nobody's wrong. Everyone's got their preference. Almost done. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to go over some of these places that were too light, and then I'm going to call it for this segment. And when I pick it up again, you won't have to deal with so much background noise. Okay. Alright, be right back. Alright, and we are back. This has dried completely. There's a few little places that got messed up, and it is a little bit too yellow. It's looking a little more yellow because of the incandescent lighting, but just kind of checking in with my sort of reference. It's about my color, and he makes her very white, so I think what I'm gonna do is just leave it as is for now and move on to the hair, that minty green hair. And I'm trying to decide if I want to use this green or this green mixed with white. I think I'm gonna try this one first. And of course the white, but this time what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with the white. And add in a little bit of green at a time. Learn from my mistakes. The reason I'm having such a hard time with these is they are quite old. Just a little bit of that green there. The green doesn't look like I expected it to look. Alright, let's get these mixed together. We want a minty green color for the hair. At least that's what I want. I'm going with the colors that are used in game. Amano, his portraits usually feature Terra with blonde hair. But I always imagine her with the minty green hair that she has in the game. Surely could use a little more of the green color here. And her hair is really, for me, what really signifies Terra as Terra, that green hair. Because off the top of my head, everyone else in the game has a normal, natural hair color. But Terra has that minty green, just this naturally minty green. Okay, let's thin this out. Thin this up with water. There we go. That's a pretty good color there. Now we're going to take this brush and we're just going to do the same as we did with the skin. I'm going to go all over the hair area with water. Make sure I'm getting all the little corners. So I said that the water looked like milk before. Now it looks like milk that's had Lucky Charms in it. So I'm just gonna do this part first, and then we'll do the ponytail portion. So bangs first. This won't dry so fast. Okay. Again, we're gonna start just a little bit. We're gonna let that spread out. This is more what I was trying to do with the skin, but I was a little too heavy-handed with it. So, learning from my mistakes is what you do. So I'm gonna concentrate the color more on the tips and then drag it up and out through here. And since I've already put down some water, it's going to feather out on its own a bit. And it helps give us a gradient. Now with this green next to the skin tone, it helps the skin tone look a little more natural, I think. Or at least it does lend the idea that this thing doesn't have to have totally natural skin tone. This is way more light. fix your errors. Just maneuver the color up and around as you see fit. And it is very light to start with, but again, watercolors, you deal a lot with layering. We're going to be layering these colors up until they're much less subtle. I'm also going to darken this part here. Just let that blend together here in the middle. And same over here. I'm going to go in and darken these tips down here. Use more of the paint. This is where the layering really comes in. I'm just gonna follow this line here all the way to the part. I set my hand down on this. Oops. Alright, add some more water here. We're gonna continue darkening these tips. And I am going out of the line some. Again, this is just me learning how to do this. And I'm not too worried about those kinds of mistakes, considering who I was inspired by. He's very, very painterly. He doesn't obsess too much on perfect lines. I definitely obsess more on perfect lines. So, clean it up a little bit, but it's watercolors. You kind of just have to let yourself accept that you don't have the kind of control that you have with other mediums of the sort. So now I'm just taking water and spreading out the color that I've already got on there. Fanning these colors into a gradient of sorts. And the same thing on this side. Just taking time to define the segments of the hair. And you should consider lighting. I tend to wing it. Probably a little too much. I just like to go with what looks good. Then again, take the water and spread out what's on there. There's a cat hair on here. Alright, so we've got the banks pretty much done. Kind of looking at how the gradient has distributed itself. I like it for the most part. So now I'm going to work on the ponytail portion, doing pretty much the same procedure as before. And once all of the base colors have been laid out, I'm gonna go back in and do some of the detail work. And that's where I think my style is going to really come through on this Amano inspired piece. The reason I put the skin tone underneath this area here is that in my mind she has a sheer fabric there. So I want the skin tone to show through a bit. At the tips and moving out, letting the watercolor fan its way across where I have laid down that wash of water. And I do plan on doing more watercolor pieces so that I can practice the technique. I've watched several videos and I have had teachers show me their methods. So it's just up to me to practice what I know and see if I can improve. I would like to do many more of these style portraits from the game. You know, kind of like a watercolor gallery of characters from the game. I'm just going to use water to pick this out. I've started sketching Celeste, and I have an illustration of Ultros that I already did a long time ago, and I think I'm going to do that one for sure. Pretty excited about it. I think it'll look really nice. It's pretty much just going to be a flat wash of green up here. Kind of dark. Since it's in the back, give some depth to the piece. Some more water. Just use water to fan the rest of that color out. I'll just have to come back through here to give depth and texture. And make it much darker. Just through repeated layering. See up here where it's drying and I had the water behind it, it's getting a nice water marbled effect. It's still drying, so I'm gonna let that dry. And while that dries, I'm going to go back over the skin tone a little bit. Some areas, do some layering there. Want to keep it very light. I went too heavy with it to start with, so I'll make sure I've got it good and watered down this time. That's pretty good. I just want to highlight that this is, or not highlight, pretty much the opposite of highlight. Shadow this in. This is just the same color as before, but I'm layering it now that it's dried. I'm taking water and spreading that out. Spreading the shadow. And it doesn't take much. It's pretty easy to fix your mistakes as long as you take care of it quickly. Just with a little paper towel, you just dab up the excess. So I'm filling in shadows in the areas where I know obviously there would be a bit of shadowing going on. Filling in, shadowing on the nose where there's no lines, filling in that depth through shading. A little bit under the eyes, but not too much, because if you do too much, they're gonna look tired and old. So I mean, if that's what you're going for, by all means, that's what you should do. But Terra is young and not tired. She's awake and ready to fight. Ready to live her life. Alright, so we're gonna darken in on the ear, of course. This area here. Move up. Up here. Because that's going to have some shadow to it. Use water to fan out that shadow. That's pretty good. See, I think I need to put a little more color on the ear here. Get in here too. Because I need more on there, but I didn't need that much. That's a little better. I'll probably go back over some of the line work after things have dried. I need to do a little bit more for the skin tone. Right here on the eyes. Need it darker. That way I can work in some depth. Go really dark. Not dark, but kind of thick. Right through there. give something for the nose area there. Fan it out. And then you can kind of go back and continue darkening and lightening areas that need it. To lighten, you just kind of darken around it. And again, I do kind of like to wing it, which isn't really the proper way to do that, but that's just me. Part of the way I like to do things when it comes to painting and coloring. Okay. We are going to go back to the hair. Just give that final depth to it before I do more depth later. By final depth, I mean like this is a first wash, and then I'm going to go back and do some details in ink once it dries. So this is much less thinned out at this point. Because I'm making much more deliberate strokes. I know I want these areas to be dark. That's one of the things when people teach you about drawing and coloring. The key is making your darks dark and your lights light. You know, if you need to have a really wide range of light and dark. So your darkest darks should be very, very dark, and your lightest lights should be white. That way you can have a true range of colors in between. So here we go. Using the water to gradient out that dark color. There we go. That looks much better than it did before. Then we need to do similar work up here. And since we're not working with a water wash directly on the paper, it's just going to go where we apply it until I bring the water in. So when you put it on thick like this, it's much more like acrylics. So you can paint it as you see fit. Introduce more water. That's when the interesting effects happen. We want more of the green up here. And then we can bring that down and around. And since you're not really painting the middle totally, you're getting this this kind of light effect in the center. Because you're making your darks really dark and your lights really light. I'm actually not making my lights light enough, and I can see about fixing that later. I keep getting dusty particles in my paint. It's messing me up. I'm trying to fix that, but it's... oh well. Gotta try not to be so perfect about it, I guess. Fan it up. This is why you want to use watercolor paper. Regular paper can't really handle this amount of water. You can see, even though this is watercolor paper, you may not be able to see it, but it is warping. And that's one of the reasons I have it taped down, so that that warping won't matter too much. Bring this up, and then we're going to fan out the rest with water, so that we have that nice center that's lighter than the rest. Some of that skin tone got much darker as it dried, so I'm going to need to go in with water and spread it out some more, because you could do that with watercolor. It's best to do this with completely clean water. I need to clean out these waters, but I'm going to wait to do that until I'm done with this segment. So just by doing this water, this shadowing should be much less defined. Hopefully, that's the goal. So the hair's looking great. I really like how the hair looks. Some interesting moments happening. I think I need to do some more on this piece. Make it really dark. Not very watered down. Add more water to my brush, but we're not watering down the color. We're going to make this very dark. my SD card ran out, so I had to run and get a different SD card, and my microphone, the battery's gonna die soon, so I'm going to just finish up this segment. I'm going to move on to the lips, the earring, this little sheer piece of fabric here. I'm trying to decide if I want to make that green. I think I do, instead of having that be the skin. So make that quick adjustment here. I'm going to blend that out. I really like how the hair is taking form. Color looks good. Okay. Try to put just a little more color in there, but not too much. Alright, let's see. How long is too long for an ASMR video? I've done a 2-hour one before, and there was plenty of people who really liked having a video that long. But I think a lot of people prefer video links that they can actually watch. But we'll just have to see. I may wind up splitting this into yet another part once I get the rest of this flat color down. I guess it's not really flat color, it's more gradiented, but then I'm going to go back in with the pen and add more details. So for the lips, I'm going to go with this crimson and just a touch of the white, because we don't want pink. We want it to be more red than pink. Because whenever I think of Terra, I think of these bright red lips. There's just something about it that makes me think that she's got bright red lips. I really should change my water. Okay, let's get these together. So that's a very blush pink. So we want more red. We might want more water in here. There we go. I'm just going to use all of this red. That's a really nice, almost ruby red color right there. Yeah, I like that for the lips. Okay. So we're going to thin it out, of course. Now I'm going to take this smaller brush here. I'm going to wet the lips. I am just going to dab that red color on there just a little bit. that spread across there. And then again up here. And I think I've let the skin dry enough so that it's not going to go outside of the line. I'll soak some of it up with the brush. Soaked up a lot more than I expected with the brush. So I'm going to be going back in there. Really rounding out these lips with the color. Much darker on the edges. Dark in here. I'll probably run a much darker color in there at some point. Like, might even just do that black in there. Again, we're just feathering out these lips, giving them texture and depth. Add some more water into the equation. Really get that color to blend similarly to how the hair has blended. And it's almost done. There's just a spot on the top where it's not spreading. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna leave. I keep saying I'm gonna leave it alone, but I keep saying things. I'm gonna leave that alone for now. And now I'm going to, I think I'm going to make that earring red, like just this red bauble. So I'm going to add more red right here to mix in with this lip color, because I don't want it to be a straight red. I rarely want the colors to be like a straight color. I like making shades of the color. That might not be red enough, because I want to make sure it's not a replica of the lip color. I'll probably also use some of this color for this sheer portion. I think that's better. bobble here. It's a bit too much water. So I'm gonna dry this with a towel and soak up some of that water. Keep having to check my microphone because the battery's very close to dying. Alright, here we go. Right in the middle there. Then I'm gonna take some more. And dab on that side. Top there. Trying to get a nice gradient, but I put a little too much paint. Too much water. That's going to be a bit better, I think. Trying to give a roundness. To that earring. But I believe I may not have made it red enough to distinguish from the lip color. So that's something I'll have to look at later. So what I think I'm gonna do, I'm gonna finish putting down these colors that I have here. And maybe put down some blue in the eyes, maybe. And then I'm gonna call this a video, and we'll pick up with more details in part 3. Transparent looking. I got too much red over here. All these little hairs keep popping up, messing everything up. I'm not even sure. What are you supposed to do about that when it gets stuck to the paper? There we go. Alright. the red on that earring is turning out okay. Might put a little more red in the lips. Blushy color. Just to deepen them up. Let it dry that way. So we'll have some of that marbling of the color in the lips. I really like that. Do the same thing over here on the sleeve. Get like a little floralish pattern there. Okay. Getting there. We are getting there. Alright. Let's figure out how we want to do these eyes. And then from there we will move on to the next episode. Next part, however you want to say that. I know I've made a mess everywhere. So much paint and water. I think it's turning out okay, you know, for someone who doesn't really do watercolors ever. I think it's turning out okay. So we're going to do blue eyes, because that's how it is in the game. Don't need very much. I'm gonna do the water. See how pink that water is now. Definitely gotta change my waters. So this will be a good stopping point once I get this done. Of course, we're gonna come back and do a lot of detail work on the eyes. That's all we needed. And since it's such a small place, we're gonna leave it as is instead of putting a bunch of water on it. We're gonna leave the piece here just like this. I'm gonna clean off my tray, or actually I'll probably just put some aluminum foil on it so we can continue to layer once everything dries. And I'm gonna go in and do some more with the ink to create some depth in the hair here, and on the lips, on the eyes, on the eyebrows. So for now it looks very flat and very unfinished, because it is very unfinished. But we're gonna finish it next time. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you have a wonderful day and a wonderful night. Goodbye.